The difference between me and you is it's like the ready, fire, aim type of thing.
Yep.
Right? You're totally ready, aim, fire, and you're stuck at this aim. You're like, aim, aim, aim. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be right on the dot. What if it's not right? What if I need to change it? What if this isn't exactly what I want? Where I'm just like, fire.
Well, welcome back to the RJM Show, everyone. This is episode 3 and also the first episode that is entirely off the cuff. So I'm very excited for you guys to get an inside view here because I have about as much idea of what's going to happen today as you do, which is to say very little. I took a trip for a family reunion, got some ideas on the plane because I wasn't able to doom scroll for a couple solid hours, and accidentally, long story, accidentally got an Uber to Joe's house, believe it or not.
How did you, why was it plugged in? Was that just automatic?
I think it was the exact same thing that you did with that McDonald's order to my house, where it was
that
just,
didn't
that
happen.
was just the last address there.
Okay.
And then
fix
you're
that.
like, oh, that address looks familiar, and then
I didn't even look at
you
it. I
just
was
punch it
like,
in. Yeah, I was halfway here, and I was like, oh, hey, funny story. Yeah, I was originally just going to talk Joe's ear off over the phone for a little bit, but I ended up here, and I'm like, well, okay, I guess it's meant to be. So we came up here, we sat down, and I yammered for probably about half an hour, literally in this exact seat. And then I said, hey, wait a minute, there's a camera right in front of my face. Why don't we...
And mics.
Yeah, why don't we do the thing that we actually started this whole thing to do? And, Joe thought that was a good idea, funnily enough. So this is going to be the most...
Oh, we're keeping that in.
Yes, this is going to be the most vulnerable, if we're going to use that word, the most transparent that we've been so far, because, completely off the dome and kind of capturing the ideation process, the inner workings here. So to catch the audience up to speed on what we've got going so far, I was going back through Grant Cardone's Sell or Be Sold book, which I've heard a lot of people say is kind of overrated, pretty straightforward. The idea is either you're selling someone on your beliefs and what you think, or you're buying into what they believe. Pretty simple concept, but I did really like the book because it takes a lot of complicated ideas and breaks them down into very simple and actionable terms, and also thinking about it in terms of building the business here, expanding Joe's offer, things like that, and really just diving into a few different questions that we have. So the first one that I think we should start off with is one of the foundational ones that he talks about in the book, which is getting 100% sold on what you're doing. And he even mentions a pattern that I've experienced before. He talks about these 90-day cycles where you get started on a new offer, you get started in a new business, you're super pumped up, and then 90 days hits, and by then, you've gotten a complaint for a customer, you've gotten a bad review, you've realized that, you're selling something that isn't really getting delivered on the back end. The customer support sucks, even though you were under the impression it was great. Whatever it is, there's something there to ding your confidence. And so, closing for Joe, obviously this is a big consideration for me, and not because I'm like, oh, we're like scamming people here or something. But
we're not, I promise.
Yeah, that's right. But just objectively, you can only sell someone to the extent that you are sold on that thing yourself. And I'm like, I actually can't articulate in a single sentence or several what is the actual unique selling point? What sets what Joe is doing here apart from everyone else? And so, I just kind of wanted to talk that through, to get my head on straight, to delve into my goals, as I think we even mentioned on a previous episode. I have a general direction I'm heading in right now. I don't really have much in terms of actual clear objectives and things like that. So
I'm sure we'll get some sauce. Yeah. And if not, at least we're going to get some clarity out of this.
I'm getting free coaching out of this. So, that's why I'm here. But so I guess we'll start there. Getting 100% sold, and also based on the idea of trying to approach any sales conversation, any call, whatever, from the perspective of, what Austin talks about, sales as service. I'm here to help you. If my offer can help you, great. But I'm not coming into it with the assumption of I need to close this guy because he's on my calendar and we did ad spend to get him. It's like, I'm here to help this person. If this is the best fit for them, great. But ultimately, again, having their best interest in mind above just I got to get a sale or something like that.
Yeah. Well, one question. So you brought up literally right before we started recording, which is, hopefully I don't lose my voice. I've been kind of edging on losing my voice the past few days. But one question you brought up was, what makes me or the offer fundamentally different / better than all these other random coaches out there. Well, one thing you brought up were a few coaches that do, I feel like, specific things in a specific field, right? So I feel like they're like the go-to person for this thing. Like, I wouldn't recommend you hire me solely for sales. Like, I have a lot of like the sales frameworks in the modules, which I think is beneficial. But if you're looking for someone solely to get better at your close rate, you hire Austin, right? If you need someone specifically with like the mindset stuff, maybe you go to Billy or Tyler, right? If you want someone for viral content, maybe you go to some other person like Devin Jotho or the personal brand launch chick who just solely there to build viral content and views. I feel like in a way I have like a melting pot of all that stuff. And I wouldn't even say like I'm better than any of these coaches particularly. And I don't think people are necessarily looking for, I think better is a small portion of what these people are looking for. But at the end of the day, they're looking for new, different, something that works for them. So I feel like with my offer, I'm able to tailor these programs based on what they need specifically. If I feel like someone comes to me and maybe they got the content dialed in, but they need help with the mindset to like raise their prices, I can help with that. If someone's super good with like the sales and maybe they only need help with the systematization of the content, like saving them time, I feel like I can help with that. I feel like if you went to, Austin Medlin and you're like, hey, can you help me with my marketing and my content? He'll straight up say like, dude, I am not a marketing guy. Like, I can't help you there. If you go to Tyler, he's not going to say like, yeah, I can't, like I can maybe help you with the content, but my specialty is, mindset, trauma, that type of stuff. Whereas with me, it's like I can tailor make my stuff because I feel like I've had enough experience in all realms, and then I'm an expert at the personal brand stuff. So it's like personal branding is like my go-to thing, but that doesn't mean I can't help you with the mindset. I can't help you with the identity. I can't help you with systems, scale, structure. I can't help you with lead generation. So I can tailor make my programs and give you a different format or like a different blueprint to follow that they've never seen. Like I've studied dozens and dozens of different coaches, different offers. I've gone through, multiple offers, and nothing compares to like the way that I've laid my program out with those 4 key pillars in that specific sequence. I feel like some offers have like a little bit of this or like more of this stuff, but not a lot of this stuff. It's like they don't have the whole pie. Does that make sense?
It does, but then that also begs the question of what separates you and what we do here from more of a generalist. Because for example, you said like, yeah, I can help with sales, but if sales is like the thing you want to get dialed in, you go to Austin. Mm-hmm. So what would have somebody want to work with you specifically instead of getting somebody that just specializes in each of those areas?
I mean, I'd say 9 times out of 10, people don't want only one area dialed in. I think that's actually why Austin is sort of like, it's hard to tell unless you're like in the program, but he's sort of segueing into mindset. Like he kind of dabbled with putting it in his bio on Instagram, like sales and mindset coach, because he started to realize like, wait a minute, most of these people who want to dial in their sales, they also have a mindset issue with raising their prices or like charging what they're worth or pushing a little bit harder towards the end of the call. So he started to realize like, okay, wait, maybe I should start to be more multifaceted in that regard. Whereas with my stuff, I can help you with sales, and I feel like I can get you to the point where you're probably going to be, a killer at sales. But I can almost guarantee you that is not your main issue. Like you wouldn't be coming to me on the call if sales was the only issue. Like the way that my front end, like top of funnel content, marketing, messaging it's not driving people who are only dealing with a sales issue or only dealing with a mindset issue. It's like you want to build a powerful personal brand. You want to be the go-to authority in your space. That's going to require multiple different avenues, which I can help with. Whereas, like, sure, you could go to, like, Morgan for the ads, right? I suck at ads. I'd probably say, like, yeah, go to Morgan to get the ad stuff or go to Tyler for the mindset stuff. But it's like if you want to just build the foundations, do what I've done with my brand and my lead generation and my processes and my systems and with stuff that I've done with my content, I can help with that.
So it's like you can help with the sales, the marketing, the mindset, whatever, in service of a personal brand. Because that's still the center, as opposed to
like
building a personal brand as like a subset of whatever.
Yeah, it all like, and I would say like my end goal, which this is most people's goal, is like, okay, I just want to make, 20, 30, 40K a month profit. You're going to get there by nailing the sales. You're going to get there by nailing the marketing. You're going to need really consistent quality content. You're going to need a really good offer. So again, you could hire a coach that specializes in one of these things, or you could hire me. And like, I'm not even saying that like, once you come into my program, you're going to be a master at all of these things. But if we can get to the, I guess, bare minimum with the foundations, that alone will allow you to get to 20, 30K a month. And then if you want to get like that extra edge, then you go hire Morgan, or you go hire Austin, or you go hire whoever to like really tailor make, that specific result.
How have you sold yourself on that up until this point? And what would you recommend that I do to start selling myself on everything you just mentioned, and like why this is going to be helpful in the first place?
You tell me.
Well, I can, but again, there are gaps. So I'm trying to start.
Okay, where are the gaps?
It's kind of what I articulated before we started recording, which is like, I understand the value of what we offer and what we are doing, but I personally can't say you need to work with me over everyone else in the market.
Well, who is, I guess if we have to be more specific, like who is everyone else in the market?
Thinking of, your Gary V's, your Hormozis, folks like that are very bullish on the personal brand and focus a lot on, offer creation and the mindset component and all sorts of things like that. Although I guess, in fairness, it is kind of
I guess first of all, let's
mind.
say we go to Gary V. All right, how much do you think Gary V charges to work one-on-one?
Have to imagine north of like 50K at least. Probably.
And if I'm a coach doing 5 to 10K a month,
yeah,
no,
that's fair.
Could Gary V maybe give you some better advice? Possibly. Can most people afford 50K for like a 1 hour call with Gary? Or is that a little bit higher level, maybe down the line?
That's fair. But I also don't think I'd want to think about this as like, oh, this is just a stepping stone. Because like obviously with the track record, with the results you've gotten for people in the past, that is supremely valuable.
Yeah. So
maybe part of it does come down to another thing that we were talking about before we started recording, which is getting sold on me as well. Being in sales, it's like, okay, not just I work for a cool guy, I'm on a cool offer, whatever, but also fundamentally I believe that like I'm going to do the best possible thing for this person. I have the best of intentions. I'm like honorable, reliable, have integrity, the whole shebang,
Yeah.
So I think that does, maybe that is a precondition for me even. And I think that does really heavily tie into what I mentioned earlier about not really having explicitly defined goals, like a general direction, sure. But if I don't have super clearly defined goals, how am I going to help other people like figure that out on calls? You see what I'm saying there?
Well, do you need to have super clear goals to help other people? You're not even I could see that if you were the coach, if you were me, and you were like, I have no goals, no drive to go in a specific direction, no clarity. If you were the one coaching, I could see that being a big issue because then there's like a lot of incongruency there. But you're the middleman, like you're the one getting them into basically explaining the offer. It's almost like a formality, like, hey, this is Joe, this is how it works. So, like, why do you feel like there's even maybe a level of like fraudulence where it's like, oh, who am I to like go and sell this person if I don't have my own clarified goals?
I wouldn't say it's that so much as sales is very heavily based on relationships. Like there's a reason that with AI, anybody that's doing AI sales calls is trying their very best to make sure no one finds out they're actually doing AI sales calls, because like that human connection is very important to people. And I don't think that's a bad thing by any stretch of the imagination. I think that's a very good thing, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
But it's like, objectively, you know, I can say this is a good thing for you to do. I can be a doctor and see that somebody has a broken leg and say, hey, we should probably put a splint on that, even though I also don't have a broken leg.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. But it does strike me as kind of strange that I would be in a position to, for example, you know, be like, oh, I can absolutely help you get clarity on your goals and what you want to do for your business, when I don't have that for myself. You see what I'm saying? Because like I can see the argument of where you're coming from, and again, like objectively, like I'm not the guy doing the coaching. I don't need to personally know every single nuance of how you're going to help someone set up a pricing structure to understand that, yeah, we're going to help you get your pricing dialed in and actually get this to be a profitable and reliable business, support your family, reinvest in yourself, the whole shebang. And again, that's not a guess, because we have a mountain of testimonials to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not talking to all those people. They're not talking to you. They're talking to me.
But why does it matter? Like whether they're talking to me or you or some other random sales guy that I get on the street, they're going through the same program. They're going through the same process. They're getting the same deliverables. They're typically coming with the same issues, you know, things they want fixed. It's like, why does it matter if you're giving them the spiel versus me or someone else?
Why does it matter that I'm giving the spiel versus an AI? Or does it? I'm out of a job, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. Well, I think the AI thing, that's just, I feel like there's a whole, that's comparing like, apples to oranges. Because I feel like with AI, they wouldn't even want to talk to AI. Like they want to talk to a person. But I don't think that they're not coming on the call saying like, is this person, have they walked the walk? They just want to know like, what is the thing? How does it work?
Well, then why do you want me closing as opposed to just finding some like random homeless dude and being like, hey, I'll pay you like, you know, $10 a call or whatever.
I found you first.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question though.
Because,
well, I feel like you definitely want a level of care, right? Like, and clearly, even the fact that you're having that conversation and like taking it seriously means that there's, what's the word? Like importance or
conscientiousness.
Yeah, like there's a lot of conscientiousness involved. So that you can't really get with an AI. They're just gonna give the framework or whatever.
That's fair, but you could also argue that that's a technical issue. Like people will make fun of, you know, like the AI robots moving around today. They made fun of the AI image generators. That wasn't that it couldn't acquire the skills, just it wasn't sufficiently advanced to the point that it could do that.
Yeah.
So in the case of AI, I would make the argument I made earlier, which is people want that human connection.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, so that is arguable, but there are a lot of ways to deliver a human connection. You know, even this, right? This does, like, we are inviting you, the audience, into the conversation, into the show here, but this is also a parasocial relationship. You can come up onto me in the street and be like, Gabe, I've watched like 50 hours of your stuff, and I can be like, I have no idea who you are, and that makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, so there is still something there that I think matters. Maybe it is some kind of like imposter syndrome or something.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because
that.
like if you didn't have that, like why would you care, you know?
If I didn't have what specifically?
Like if you didn't have that imposter syndrome of like the incongruence where you're telling people, yeah, we can help you with this and that and getting clarity here and make this money, if you're not clear or making all that money or doing X, Y, and Z. Like clearly there's some kind of disconnect, and that's why you're even wrestling with this in the first place. Because let's just hypothetically say, you know, you're more jacked, you're making, let's say, $20K a month, $30K a month, which we're gonna get there anyways. Soon. But like, let's just say we're already there. You know, put yourself in those shoes and like feature pace it. This wouldn't even be a conversation.
Yes, but I think that's because, well, those things, like cool as they are, aren't the main thing that I'm focused on right now. Materially, again, it does come down to getting the clarity. which...
So, like, what changes? Like, once you get the clarity on those specific things, what specifically changes?
I think it comes down to knowing that I'm going in the right direction. And I think if I'm unsure if I'm going in the right direction for myself, I have less confidence in my ability to do that for someone else. Even though, like, I do understand it is kind of like, let's just say, like that hike I dragged you on when you... I gave this man,
that was fun.
I gave this man blisters on his feet from walking up a mountain and then down the other side and then kind of getting lost for his wedding.
It was like a set.
I am a great
30
friend.
miles.
Yeah.
Something terrible.
It was not 30 miles.
All right, 17 miles.
Oh my gosh, whatever. Point is, it was longer than expected. Tangents. I can, have a lot of experience walking a specific trail and then go on a new one or a newer one and not know it as well. That makes sense to me. But seems to me that there's still a required level of just like outdoorsmanship, if we want to call it that, to actually get to that point where it's like, okay, I can trust this guy-ish as a guide, because even if he's not been on this specific trail before, he knows what trails look like, he knows what wildlife he's going to run into.
I think the problem is, though, is you're almost like you're assuming that you're the one solely helping them get the clarity. Like, you're the one guiding down the trail. It's like, what if, like, you don't need qualifications to say...
You tell me I'm not special, Joe?
You're not special, Gabe. You're not a snowflake. There's nothing special about you. Anyways, like I was saying, I feel like the issue is you're assuming, again, that, like, you're the one. And again, I completely agree. If you're the one coaching them, you are solely responsible for them gaining clarity. That makes perfect sense. You should not be coaching these people to help them get clarity if you don't have that. But again, you're like the middleman. So if you're just giving the trail example, you don't need any qualifications or outdoorsiness to be like, oh yeah, like Joe, he's been on 30,000 trails. Like, go to this guy. Like, you don't need certifications. If you know that Joe has been on these routes and Joe has done this and Joe has done that, and he's taken thousands of people through the trails and they haven't died or gotten eaten by bears, like, it should be enough. Like, you don't need to also be an expert at the trails. You know what I mean?
I guess, no, that makes sense.
But still, I think I could chop down the logic all day long with this scenario, because it doesn't make as much sense. But there's still something mindset-wise.
That was exactly going to be my question. Yeah, it's like, okay, cool. So we got the logical component down. We've demonstrated that I have no actual legs to stand on. Okay, thanks. How do we deal with the emotional component, though? Maybe this is something we should drag Tyler in on, even.
That would be nice.
With the whole.
I'll give you my 2 cents. So it's like it's the cliche, cringy thing that Ed Milet says. It's like, you build confidence by keeping the promises you make to yourself. And we've had multiple conversations where it's like, we have these ups and these downs. It's like, okay, we're like motivated. We went to a conference. We're ready to go, ready to crush the world. Like, we're motivated. But then we get into like a slump. It's like, okay, we missed the gym for a few days, and then you feel like a piece of shit. And then it's like, maybe we missed DMs, or we missed this, or we missed that. And next thing you know, you're on this like negative spiral, and you're like convincing yourself that you're not worthy, or you're convincing yourself that you're not qualified. And I think the issue is like, we're not, similar to what we were talking about before we started recording, it's the standards. It's just like, whether it's spoken or unspoken standards of the company, or how you operate, or like literally just the gym. I'm pretty sure if me or you put on another 15 pounds of muscle, 20 pounds of muscle, just naturally we're going to be a little bit more confident. Probably. We're going to probably show up as a little bit more of a badass on the call. So I think just naturally, like, how we move, how we eat, how we show up at the gym, the promises we keep to ourselves, being on time, not missing deadlines, all of those wins continue to stack. And that's not something that's, like, I would say directly correlated to, like, being an expert. Like, you could go and learn how to get clarity. You could go and learn how to master the personal branding stuff yourself, which could still give you qualifications to close these people on what they're also trying to get help with. But that's, like, the long route. Whereas if we can just build the foundational standards, if we can just, like simplify just doing the daily right things and just compound that stuff, I feel like that would indirectly help you almost like destroy that like fraud voice in your head saying like, well, I'm not like clear on.
That makes sense. One thing I will say though is, for example, like I've toyed with recommitting to doing 75 hard and things like that, because I've done that a couple times before, been very helpful. I've done a lot of different challenges and things like that, and I think, as we've discussed many times before, one of my big issues is I am a pretty cerebral person. I do get caught up in my head more than is healthy, admittedly.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it feels like it's just like picking a path or picking something to commit to for the sake of having a path or something to commit to. And it seems pretty arbitrary.
Yeah, well, it's like I feel like those don't really give you clarity in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, and so
it's like a Band-Aid. I feel like it's
so
like,
it's
all right,
like
temporary.
Yeah, but it's like having something to do. And
yeah, exactly.
You don't do things for their own sake, not just because it's a waste of time and energy ultimately, but also because there's no hierarchy of values that you can use to discern if you're truly just committing to something because it's there, if that's a better choice than something else. Like, do I want to commit to working out 3 hours a day, or do I want to commit to 3 hours of reading, or 3 hours of prayer, or 3 hours, like you've got this raw substance, this time, this attention, money, focus, whatever, doesn't necessarily mean that you deploy it correctly just because it's there. So,
but like, what does that even mean? Like, correctly? Like, how do we know it's correct?
Again, there's no hierarchy of value. So it's like I can go in a certain direction, but
so it sounds like you need to get clear on where you want to go before we set in stone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like getting clarity on like where I'm actually going and like.
Well, why do you feel like it's such a struggle, or there's so much friction with you trying to get clear on what you want?
Two things. First is I am very much not convinced by this idea of like going out and finding yourself. I think like who you are is built, not discovered. And like, yeah, like you have something that you're created for, you have an ultimate purpose for your life, but that's something that you discover through action. Like God doesn't hand you an instruction manual and say like, okay, take this left and then this right, and then you're going to stop at the light. And then, it's like, it's an iterative process. It's cooperative, so you, with respect to free will, have the ability to build that out. And so I think that's kind of daunting in a sense to really figure out like, what do I actually want to commit to, with the understanding that, to call back to an earlier episode, I don't have perfect information.
Do you feel like you're almost like sabotaging that by putting too much weight on getting it like right or getting it perfect from the get-go?
Certainly. But then the other component too is that I have done so many different iterations of this over the years. I've read the books, I've done the Tony Robbins seminars, I've listened to the podcasts.
Isn't that how it's supposed to be though? In a sense?
Yes, but the thing is, usually when I do this, I end up selling myself on a slightly different version of an older vision, or like, let's just say hypothetically, I do introduce something new. I end up setting like a ridiculous timeline. I'm not in a correct vehicle to get nearly close to that. And so part of it, I think, is just the frustration and the internal conflict of being like, okay, Gabe, like, we've spent, and I recognize I'm a 24-year-old, right? So like, objectively speaking, got a lot of life left to live. Doesn't feel like that right now, because my entire mature adult life, it's like, okay, like we've been doing this for 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. Like, this is really going to be the thing that you like wake up one day and it's like, oh, this is awesome. I love this. Like, this is really going to be the thing that's going to get you. And I also know that obviously like the whole thing, if you refuse to quit, your only other option is to win. I understand that if, you don't get it right that time, you try again. Thomas Edison, the light bulbs, thousands of failed inventions. I understand all that. I got the theory up here, but it's taking it back to sales, right?
Yeah.
There's a difference between logical reasoning and emotion. And in sales, 9 times out of 10 probably, it's very rare that you get someone that is just driven by numbers. And usually it's a B2B sale in that. If it's personal, It is personal. It's about your identity. It's about how you see yourself. It has nothing to do with the actual logic and the reasoning.
Yeah. Well, so I think you're very smart, too smart for your own good. So I
Yes.
think we have the logical piece down. I don't know if we've really figured out what's going on.
Not at all.
Emotionally. Do you feel like you're afraid to commit because you're scared of failing again, or what?
I don't think it's fear. I think it's more fatigue. Like, does that difference make sense? Like, I don't think I'm going to be hurt.
Yeah, you're
But
just
part
tired
of me thinks it's going to be
winning.
wasted effort. Yeah. Or like the juice won't be worth the squeeze.
What if it's not?
What if the juice isn't worth the squeeze?
Yeah, like what if you choose something and it's not worth the squeeze?
Then I'll be right, and that'll be another arrow in the quiver for why the next thing isn't worth the squeeze.
Okay, but do you see how, like, mindset-wise, if you're almost going into something being like, oh, there's doubts, is this really going to be the thing? Like, how is that, like, it's sort of like that be, do, have thing. It's like, how can you, and I understand, like, where you're at. Like, I completely see, like, I could totally be in your shoes where it's like, okay, 6 years in, if we've just, like, bounced to different things, not seen a huge amount of success, what makes this next thing different? But then you're just continuing to drag your, like, shit into this new thing, the shit mindset, the baggage, the doubt, the fraud voice. Like, if you keep dragging that stuff, there's such a good quote. It's like, you're gonna, what is that quote? It's like something, and you're gonna call it fate. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Like, you're gonna live your whole life. Oh,
that's gonna make a great clip, though. Do you know that one quote? something. Fate.
Okay, wait, hold up.
Oh.
I'm gonna find this. Okay, what's the quote where it's like you're gonna do something, and then you're gonna call it fate? You're gonna think I'm crazy, but it's such a good quote. Okay, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. So unconscious, and maybe we're sort of conscious about it right now.
Who said that?
Yeah, but okay, no, I didn't say that.
No, who said that?
Oh, Carl Jung. No, me.
That
Joe
sounds
McCarthy.
like Jung. Yeah.
Okay, but here's the point. Here's the point, though. So, like, until you make the unconscious conscious, it'll direct your life, and you're going to call it fate. So, in a way, I think you're starting to finally see, like, okay, I'm consciously maybe sabotaging this because of the bullshit I'm telling myself in my head.
Oh, I've known that for a while.
Okay, but why aren't you changing it? Do you know what abracadabra means?
The magic words.
Yeah, what does that mean? It's like, with my words I create, and we don't need to get into, like, the new agey BS and, like, oh, we're trying to be God, blah blah blah. But your words,
I'm trying to parse the Latin now. That doesn't make sense to me, but okay.
Wait. Let me confirm what it means.
I'm gonna.
Real quick.
Okay.
I don't want to put out any.
Sorry, I kind of speak French. And I studied Latin extensively in elementary and middle school, so I've held on to little bits of it. And
let me see. Oh yeah, I create as I speak, so I kind of got it.
What is the actual?
Avra.
Avra? Is that Latin or Greek? Or what is that?
Late Greek.
Oh, okay. That would explain it. I'm like, that's not Latin. I would have thought it was Latin. All right.
Anyways, Gabe again, he's too smart for his own good. I was right, by the way. Anyways, so abracadabra, right? Like, I create as I speak. Now, again, I don't think that the manifestation stuff, like, there's, some truth to it where it's like, if you focus, you're probably going to achieve the thing. But I think at the same time, like, if you flip it negatively, that's how you say it? Yeah, negatively. You look at the things you're telling yourself negatively, it's going to impact you whether it's conscious or unconscious. Yeah. So, like...
Well, the thing that's infuriating, to your point, is, like, I am aware of the logic, but there's some missing piece that I just have not connected. And also what you said earlier, we have these ups and downs and these ebbs and flows of motivations because, like, everybody has those. You have different seasons of life. You get kind of fired up, and we can kind of just, stuff that under the bed for a while and not think about it. But then you get tired out, and then it just, like, resurfaces,
What resurfaces?
Just the doubt, is this really going to be the thing? Is this really going to be worth it? Are you really the guy? I think that's another one. This is great though, because I'm having to actually get very specific with vague notions. And
what is the guy?
I think it's a question of like, who are you to like be the person that's going to lead people to
That's what I'm saying. It's this story. Like you wouldn't.
Oh yeah, no. I'm in total agreement with you. I understand the logical component.
Yeah.
I believe me, Joe. I
this
understand the logic.
This is where we need someone like Tyler just to break this thing down.
Toolkit out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not groaning on air, so don't ask.
So you understand the logic, but there's an emotional piece to it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it makes sense. Like
there's also the thing too, where if we take it to another level of logic, I understand that people, and me being a person, probably not immune to this, people will arbitrarily invent things to keep them safe. Oh, I'll be happy, I'll be fulfilled when I XYZ, but I've not done that yet, so I'm not going to let myself da-da-da. So clearly there is some sort of identity component or something that I'm attached to that is still going on. But, I mean...
Well, like at what point... Like, at what point do you feel like you're going to be that guy? Like, what do you need to do, have, feel, achieve?
$8 bajillion. No.
Great. Like, do you feel like it's tangibly having certain things, or do you feel like it's simply just having the clarity? Like, if you have a goal and you know where you're going, is that enough, or do you need to tangibly have certain things?
No.
Okay, so we just need to get clarity.
The clarity is good, yeah. The momentary progress matters to me a lot less than the direction, because one of them is predictive, the other is not. There are people that inherit massive fortunes and then are broke. There's that famous story of that garbage man in the UK that won the lottery and then was back to being a garbage man in like 7 years or whatever, because he spent it all on like hookers and blow and like literally the meme of what you do when you win the lottery.
Because it's true.
Yeah, but yeah, so I mean like the momentary conditions, and I think it really ties into what Viktor Frankl talks about in Man's Search for Meaning, which is like basically the core thesis of the book essentially is that the core motivator in human beings is meaning. It's not for an individual even, it's not survival, it's not prosperity, it's not health. And he makes the argument that, you take a soldier in war sacrificing his life to save, his country or at the very least his comrades or the cause he's fighting for. That's because he finds meaning in the sacrifice. That's not because it's objectively good or going to keep him alive. And so
like, where do you feel like you find meaning? Or is that not clear?
Yeah, that is a good question. I find a lot of meaning in learning, but I also know a lot of things that are not very useful. And so I don't think that is in itself enough of a direction.
Yeah, that's too vague.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say is the meaning of your life with a purpose?
Gosh.
That also helps people.
I can much more readily list off competencies and skills and traits that I think can be used in the service of other people. Like, I think I'm a pretty entertaining storyteller. I do take a genuine interest in other people, but those are only tools.
Yeah.
That's not the blueprint for the house. That's not the materials. That's just what you need to put it all together. Yeah. I don't really.
So what is the house? We got some tools. You're smart. You're a nerd. You're a good learner. Social. What can that be geared towards to build a? Okay,
Man,
let's ask a cringy question then. At the end of your life, when you're buried, what do you want people to say about you? Or, and I think actually this might help you once you do end up getting married and have kids, because you start thinking of not just about yourself and like, I'm a good learner. No, it's like, okay, there's generations now. So if you end up having kids and a wife and family members, then if you die, what do you want them to be? And like, obviously you're going to be like, oh yeah, dad spent time with me and, you know, he was great and he loved people. But like, think about like a son. You have like a son and he's like 25, you're dead, and he sees that you accomplished X, Y, Z.
I've not really given too much to what I want people to say when I'm gone. I think it's that I was honorable and that I was a good steward of what I was given, like the parable of the talents. But to go back to the earlier question, I think if we're clearing the board, we're taking the how out of the picture, we're not worrying about like realism, things like that. Really, at the end of the day, I think what the cause that I find most meaningful is specifically American Gen Z, because I think we have...
Now we're getting somewhere.
We have a profound opportunity right now because... And not to get into a whole philosophical diatribe, because the audience probably knows at this point.
I'll stop you if we go too far.
I will genuinely talk for like 2 hours. Like my mom drove me to the airport today. I talked her ear off for an hour. She fell asleep, by the way.
Driving?
No, I was driving, thank goodness. But anyway, so yes, I will rant. To make a long story short, I think it's pretty plain to see that there is very little institutional trust in, the cliche examples would be like the media, the government, but also like there's very low participation in church and things like that, to the extent that we do see a resurgence of religion in this country. It's, as much as I like it, it's following a historical pattern as a civilization is kind of on its last legs culturally. There is this reaction to try to return to that tradition, but it's too late to put the toothpaste back in the tube, and it like kind of slows the decline rather than it. Mm-hmm. But the reason I'm very optimistic about it is because we as a generation are, like it or not, going to be handed a world with very, very few rules. A lot of the old customs and traditions are either going to be gone, or they are largely recognized like, this is not in our best interest. We don't want to put up with this. We're going to make some changes around here. And I don't want to make this into a whole political thing, so I'm not going to mention any specific standpoints because that is completely beside the point. But I think we have a massive opportunity where the people that are well positioned, if we play our cards right, we are going to be able to set up multiple generations for our children to have an amazing life. The kind of thing that the silent generation and the greatest generation did for the boomers and the Gen X and millennials. Like, that's the kind of run that we're talking about. And this gets into a lot of stuff with like international monetary policy and how the US dollar is screwed, but also because we're the world reserve currency, everyone else's currency is also reliant on us. So they are more screwed than we are. So the US is like the least worst off loser with, when hyperinflation, all this stuff. Again, I don't want to get into everything.
Let me ask you a question. So like what part do you specifically want to play in all of that, and hopefully getting us on a better track?
To rally people, not in a way that is trying to revive like traditional American values just because they're traditional, but because they are actually what we need for this point in history. I think that every time in history has been a few strong leaders rallying a bunch of people that are not lesser in dignity, but just were not able to organize on their own. And you don't do anything by yourself. So I think if we can get organized, if we can actually decide like, this is what we stand for, these are the values that we believe in, this is what we're going to do for our communities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is, that's...
Okay, so I would say that's probably like your long-term purpose drive.
Mission, yeah.
So like, what are like the stepping stones to get you to that point? If we're thinking shorter term, let's say that's like 3, 5, 7, 10 years down the line.
At least, yeah. Establishing reputation, and getting the tools I need to actually get to that point.
What does that look like?
Well, if we take a proxy of somebody that's in the entrepreneur space, Andy Frisella would be a great example, where he's building his basically political party. He's very clear about what he stands for. People know they can count on him. I don't agree with everything that Andy does, but massive respect for the guy, massive respect for, what he's done, the company he's created, things like that. I don't know if I necessarily want to be at that level, but...
Well, have you clarified? Because he has what? He's got to be worth like.
Oh, he's probably around
$250
billion if he's not. Yeah.
So he's worth a lot.
$1 billion or more.
So have you kind of quantified what you want your life to look like?
I don't know what's going to be required on the resource front, but I know that resources are going to be needed.
What do you mean by resources?
Money, primarily people.
So then if we go even smaller, then obviously we need money.
Yeah, money, influence, people. Because again, it's
okay. So right now, the tools
Yeah.
that we need to fuel the bigger mission is money, influence, and people.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to focus on how do we gather up those three things,
Mm-hmm.
or get to the point where like you are, what would you say, a vessel for those things.
Basically, yeah.
And then once we have the capital and the resources, then we can go and fuel the larger mission,
Mm-hmm.
which I'd say that's your purpose.
Probably.
Yeah, so I think you've known what you wanted all along. It's just how do we connect all the dots?
I guess so. Yeah.
Because you're very vocal about that. So what I think we need to do then, or what you need to do, is you need to get clear on short-term, the habits, the standards, the skills, like what are those things that you need to develop, just as like a baseline. Then once we have that, I think that that indirectly will fuel the mindset, the confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think if you can just like physically get fit, if you can physically wake up and go to bed at the same time, if you can physically show up with energy on these calls and close deals and make money, by default, that's going to build confidence. By default, that's going to build demand that's, capable of making the money, getting the people, getting the influence, building the following. And then longer term, you can use that platform to fuel the bigger mission. But I don't think there's quite as much clarity as there could be with the short-term stuff. Like, what does it actually look like, even just like the next handful of weeks, right? Like, how can you maybe optimize a little bit better? How can you, show up as a slightly higher level type of person?
Yeah. I think part of it, too, to go back to the overanalyzing thing, you're right. I have known stuff along these lines for a very long time. Again, it takes a slightly different form every time I actually sit down and write it out, because obviously I'm changing as a person. But there's also the question of what is this really what I want? Or is this what I've been
Who cares?
told?
This is generally where we want to go. And I think this is where you get a little bit too analytical. You're not going to know. I don't know. Again, like we mentioned this on the last episode, I have a ton of stuff written up there. Some of it I still want. Honestly, maybe one or two of those bullet points, I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. I don't want that stuff anymore. It's like, you're going to change. If I look at my 2024...
And you wrote this back in January?
Yeah, in January. Let me actually go get some real quick, because this is going to put it into perspective.
It's going to hit me with a bat.
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop thinking.
Okay. So here is an example of why retard maxing is sometimes necessary.
Yes.
Because guess what? Here's where me and you are different. I think
you're a retard. Yep.
I'm a retard. You're not. I don't.
Can we say that on YouTube? Is that allowed?
We'll cut out the R word. Don't worry. The difference between me and you is it's like the ready, fire, aim type of thing.
Yep.
Right? You're totally ready, aim, fire, and you're stuck at this aim. You're like, aim, aim, aim. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be right on the dot. What if it's not right? What if I need to change it? What if this isn't exactly what I want? Where I'm just like, fire. And then it's like, okay, wait. Maybe some of this stuff. Okay, for instance, 2024. That didn't happen. That happened.
Oh, wait,
that
hang
happened.
on. Let's you know what?
Can we see this?
This is already a super janky episode. So
Okay, wait, hold on. Okay, look.
do you want me to hold it?
No, I got it. Okay, look. So we got 2024. Some of this happened, some of it didn't. Down here, this was last year. I did not buy a farm. I'm still in Florida.
You did not start a couples podcast.
I did not start a couples podcast. I did not. I just hit half of this. I didn't buy this in 2025. I bought it this year, 2026. That also did not happen. Same thing here. I'm not here quite yet. I have not done this. I've not done this. None of this has happened yet. I'm sure it's not going to happen next year.
That's 2027.
Yeah, but it's like...
No, point taken, though.
But I wrote all this stuff out just so I can get, some clarity. So I'm like, okay, where generally am I going? And it's like, if things change, if things shift, okay, whatever. But if we don't have it down on paper, if we don't know generally what we want and sure things are going to shift, then we're not going anywhere, and that's depressing.
Yes.
Hopefully that helps. Write down goals, write down
habits, skills, and standards is what you
said.
Yeah,
and again, actually get tangible with that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then obviously stick to it. That's the harder part, which is
I mean, obviously you did that. You've mentioned vision boards and stuff like that before. What have you personally found to be helpful in actually keeping this stuff top of mind? To take it back to Andy Frisella, he talks about the visualization thing he used to do with the jet and the car and all that when he was dead broke. But what specifically do you do in practice to actually keep these things in mind and remind yourself and surround yourself with it? And
well, it's easier to surround myself with it and keep it in mind if I'm surrounding myself with it and seeing it every day. I think what would be interesting for you is I don't know if you have a visual of what it would look like for America and Gen Z to be this dominant force or whatever, but print out the American flag, print out a ton of young guys crushing it in business, print out some random make a little AI thing of you speaking on stage like Martin Luther King. You know what I mean? But
I have a dream. It made no sense. Dreams usually don't.
Yeah, I would honestly take that stuff, print it out, write it out. Because then it's if you walk into your office or your Airbnb or your apartment or whatever, and you're looking at it right there, it's oh, that's the broader vision. It just subconsciously, it just reminds you. I don't even necessarily look at all this stuff consciously and be yes.
But you see it every day just by...
I just glance over. I'm oh, yeah. I just glance over. I'm I see numbers. I'm yes, I want those numbers.
Higher frequency, higher volume is basically what it comes down to.
Yeah. And then I think just by default, you see the goals, you tangibly see them. You have a little bit more clarity on what those are. Naturally, you're similar to what we talked about in the last podcast, which is every action is either going to get you closer to those goals or it's going to get you farther away. So it's okay, we woke up late and Joe's texting. He's where are you? Get on your phone, blah, blah, blah. And you're just because you stayed up until 2 a.m. or 3 a.m.
That would never happen.
Yeah, that definitely never happened.
Fake news.
But let's just say, hypothetically, if something like that happened, if you see the vision board, and maybe this is where a healthy guilt, or shame can come into play. By you seeing the goals, and this goes for everybody. I don't know if anyone's even listening to this podcast, but if you are more clear on where you think you want to go, and you have it printed out, in a way that also gives more of a commitment because we've not only have we verbally said it, but it's there. I've had people walk in the office, this office, and been oh, you want that? Oh, you want that many clients? Oh, you want this revenue? And it's almost just subconsciously oh shoot, I put that out into the world. So it's I kind of have to, I have to be in congruence with the person who is, able to achieve these things. So if I walk into the office and it's super late, or I miss a call, or I cancel a call because I'm feeling lazy, if I see those goals, I'm going to be okay, that action is driving me farther away from the goal. So I think just in general, getting clear on that stuff, printing it out, putting it out on your wall or whatever, whether it's conscious or unconscious, it just helps. And that will give you a lot more confidence when you do show up on these calls because you already know where you're going.
Yeah.
I think long term where you want to be. It's just how do we even
connect the two?
Connect the dots. Yeah. What's the next step? What do I even need to do?
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Wow.
Well, this was free coaching.
That's a lot to digest. Yeah, that was pretty cool. The other big thing that we were talking about was tailoring and customization. Because obviously, you mentioned earlier, your offer has a certain number of core pillars. And I think I've kind of been viewing the pitch as almost not quite a formality, but within very narrow things. Because almost everybody that we work with does need, the four things. Yeah. They need the offer. They need to establish their credibility. They need to figure out the lead generation. They need to get the scalability in place. But within that framework, obviously, like you mentioned, a lot of what you do is very custom to the individual, but that's not something that I can necessarily pitch on the spot because that's not always going to be apparent in that first conversation.
Why do you think that?
Because part of your process is that feedback loop of okay, I'm trying to figure this out with content, things that organically pop up as they're actually building out their brand and getting themselves established. So
I think we're kind of overthinking it. I think in a broader sense, there's customization in the sense of like how much support do they need, or do they need more of this pillar versus that pillar? Those are things we can customize just based off of 20, 30 minutes of discovery. The minute customizations, that's done in like the one-on-one calls. Like that's what those are for.
That's what I'm saying is like the overarching thing.
Yeah.
Like if like we didn't attach your name to it, we like remove the niche everything, and it's like, okay, we have some modules, we have some one-on-one coaching, we have some community. None of those are particularly novel.
Well, I mean, the honest truth is like nobody cares about your deliverables. Like people don't care if I have 6 calls or 12 calls. They don't care if I have this deliverable or that deliverable or this group or this thing. It's like they don't really care about the features. As a matter of fact, they probably would higher level people, they prefer
like
less
as few features as possible.
Yeah, like they care about the result, and I sell the result, right? So it's like I don't really play this game of like perfecting all the features because like I'm honestly just going to give them whatever it's going to take to get them to the result faster.
I guess my question is when it comes to packaging, how do I really
the packaging isn't even like the packaging is just the packaging, or in terms of like the features or the deliverables. Because like that doesn't make the offer any special or different. Like everyone has, for the most part, the coaching and the community or the course. Like the structure and the deliverables. I mean, every coach and their mom has that type of you know offer. So that's not what makes it different. What makes it different, again, is it's going to be the customization in the program for what they need in that moment. I think it's also like the sequencing of how I go about the whole process. The process is way more important than like the deliverables, right? Like how we actually build everything out systematically, step by step. In the specific order that I built it is insanely intentional. Because like I don't want you to jump into lead generation or jump into content creation if we haven't nailed this one thing, or jumping to building systems if we don't even know who we're speaking to. So like there's systematically things that we put into place in a specific order that I would say is like our IP, because that's really what people pay for is like the roadmap, the blueprint, and then they pay for the result. But like how it's built, the deliverables, the time frames, like that's just more of like the box. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that does make sense, but also the people that say don't judge a book by its cover are idiots. That's the point of a cover. The cover is supposed to tell you what's in the book. So I guess like if someone's like, okay, like I've seen a lot of things like that before, does that just mean I did a bad job in the discovery and the like, okay, cool. Kind of expected that.
Yeah, because in a way, like that's why discovery is such an important piece of the sales framework, because that's where we get all the juice. Like it doesn't really matter. I wouldn't say like breeze over, the deliverables or like the structure, because it's important to a degree.
But to your point, it doesn't matter if you're taking a boat or a plane or a helicopter.
Yeah, it's like I just want to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Gotcha. That makes sense. So do you think there's anything that really needs to be done in terms of, I guess, communicating tailoring, or just keep kind of dialing in the structure that we do have for the people that are qualified? Like when I'm on the call with them.
Yeah, I mean, if they're the right fit, I feel like if they're like the ideal prospect, they shouldn't need a huge amount of tailoring done.
That is true. Yeah.
Like the people, only reason we're tailoring is like, I can't afford it. Oh, I don't have this time. Oh, I don't need this thing. So, okay, I feel like tailoring is almost like a default.
No, to your point though, like to tie back to the whole idea too of, the higher quality leads are the ones that give you the least trouble, and the less qualified people are.
Yeah, they're like, dude, if this gets me the result, takes 12 weeks. Here's my money.
Yeah, no, that is interesting. Yeah,
like
everyone that I've talked to, I'm like, this guy is going to crush it. He's like, sure, let's go.
Yeah,
and
like
I could explain the deliverables in a single sentence. He'd be like, cool, let's get going. Versus, the guy that I had to like drag over the finish line or whatever.
Yeah, and you're always customizing for those people. So like, just as a baseline, the best clients I've ever gotten, they didn't question once or any type of customization. I think when we're talking about customizing the pillars, like even when Austin talks about it, he's not saying necessarily customize the entire program. He's saying, hey, you specifically told me.
Make it relevant to their
Yeah,
situation.
exactly. Like, you specifically told me that like your content process is like 8 hours a week. We need to specifically get that down to like 5 hours a month for you because of XYZ. So like I honestly prefer not customizing the program. If we need to customize it or split up payments or do whatever like to get them in, that's better than nothing.
We can talk about that, yeah.
Yeah, but again, to my point, if they're the right fit, they're not going to be questioning the customization. So it's not even really a relevant conversation unless we're just
that is such a good point too. And this is, I guess, something for the audience. Whether it's us or anyone else, do not hire a coach and then tell the coach how you want him to coach you. Like this is
think
something
about it like a doctor. It's like,
well, this is something I talk about with my actually, it wasn't even my current fitness trainer. It was a guy I worked with a couple of years ago. I remember we were talking one time and he was like, man, it's infuriating. You get someone through the door and they're like, all right, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get in shape, but I don't want to eat this thing. I'm not going to give up the zesty donuts, and I'm not going to
the orange, the lemon donuts.
Not going to give up the Coke. I hate doing Bulgarian split squats and burpees. I don't like deadlifts. And you're like,
yeah, do you want the result or not?
You know, and especially if you're good, it's like you don't have time for those people anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, okay, you know, you're going to ask me to build a house for you, but you're giving me, you know, like the...
It's not even that, because like you could customize a house. It's more like, hey, you have this problem, I have the solution.
You're asking me to build a house for you, but you're giving me a hammer and nails, and that's it.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to do that.
I don't want you to use a screwdriver. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. And in a way, too, I think that is funny, because it does help, I guess, me, just like hearing you say that out loud, have more confidence in the process. To just be able to shut someone down where they're like, oh, I don't feel like it. It's like, okay, well, listen, the reason we're on this call is you're missing these things.
Yeah.
So tell me in a year when you're ready to get going, or we can get going right now, up to you. But cool. That makes sense. All right. Well, yeah. So I definitely have some homework here. I think that covers most of the big things. I'm sure I'll have a few things to jabber about going out the door. But yeah, I mean, some back-end strategy, longer term with potential like partnerships and things like that. And
yeah, that's one thing I'll be dabbling with. Is
but I don't think that really needs to be on camera, because that's more just like kind of throwing things at the wall, seeing what sticks, as opposed to actual strategy at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, like I thought this was a very meaty conversation.
Yeah.
Mindset, structure, strategy, logic, mostly mindset.
Yeah.
It always is.
Always is, yeah. Always comes down. Wow, people problems are sourced in people. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought that, yeah.
Cool.
I think that pretty much summarizes. I think this is a good length, so we'll end it here, and then stay tuned for our next episode. So I'm assuming if we're doing these in order, maybe Tyler will be on the next one. That'd be pretty sick. Here's hoping.
Yeah, if he is, we should get him to...
Yeah, we might rehash some of the...
Yeah, disembowel my entire identity. It'll be fun.
Yes.
All right, sweet. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into this episode of the RJM Show. I'm still learning the words to say. There's not really a script. I'm just ad-libbing all of this. As usual, if you would like to see more from Joe, you can follow him at Real Joe McCarthy. If you would like to see more from me for some reason, you can follow at Gabriel Schickler. Work in progress.
I might have him clip up because he was talking a good bit in this podcast, so I might have him clip it up. So we'll see.
Just me ranting into the camera. That'll be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're getting the hang of things. This was very impromptu, as
very
you
much
may or may not have heard. It's a little hiccup that we noticed about 50 minutes in with the audio, so it might be a little sketchy.
Maybe we'll keep, maybe we won't.
If you watched to this point, you're a real one. We appreciate you. Camera's not even on me. I should be looking at this one. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you next week.